So Porto are interested in Zinchenko. Apparently it comes from Sam C, who was of the United stand. I believe the story's done with Ben Jacobs as well. So there's plenty behind it. Look, we know Zinchenko's been linked to the move away pretty much all summer, but he's played a fair amount of pre-season. This isn't like Reece Nelson, who's had sparing appearances. Lokonga, who's had none at all. This is a player who, I think, if he's around, Arteta will use him. I think he sees him as a player who's valuable in some way, shape or form, but the intention is to get rid of him if the right money comes along. That's the same for Jakub Kiwior too. We had a good chat about this on the podcast that went out on the main channel yesterday. Of course, this is Goonerverse News now. We've rebranded, so every bit of reaction to news will be here on this channel as close to when the news breaks as possible. This isn't really kind of breaking news as much as it is kind of more report and rumour and sort of an add-on to what we know of his situation, which is that clubs are interested, but he's still there. Here's how I feel about it. We're not getting more than a loan fee, or maybe 10 million, maybe 15. I think he's a better player than that. Now, why are we not getting that? Is it because we're bad at selling? Is it because of the wages he's on? But then why was he a £35 million asset for us from Man City, and the wages wasn't something that was a stumbling block for us? Like, what have we done to kind of decrease his value? Because I think his stock as a footballer has gone up at Arsenal. At Man City, he was a bit part player. Don't get me wrong. People knew there was talent and potential there. Maybe it shows you how much people value potential over what they really do know of a player. But surely we all agree that Zinchenko's a better footballer and is kind of renowned as a better footballer today than he was from his time at Man City. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. I think at Man City, everyone knew, again, there was potential for a player there. But you look at him at Arsenal, he's come in, he turned us into a side challenging for the title. We've remained at that top level really since he's come in. The problem is he's been replaced time and time again. He was our starting left-back. The year after that, we did so much with Tomiyasu in the running. Kiwior played some football. We then signed Timber. The intention was maybe to play him a little bit there. Calafiori came in. Lewis-Skelly's taken that spot. He kind of fell to like fourth in the pecking order. If everyone were fit, we kept Tomiyasu, he'd probably be our fourth or fifth left back, and that's the reality of the situation. But I think that is a bit of an unfair reflection on him. I don't think that's where he is in terms of quality. I think that's a reflection on how we progress and how we're trying to use our left back in a different way to the way we used Zinchenko, which was purely to overload the midfield and give us technical quality in there. We don't use our left back just for that now, and the game's moved beyond Zinchenko. But can he still be useful at left back at times? Sure. Can he be used in midfield at times in the cup games or whatever, or just to rest others? Absolutely. Calafiori is injury prone. Lewis-Skelly's still only 18. I would keep him if the money isn't right, if the deal isn't right. Now, if they came in for 20 million, took all his wages, I'd say, you know what, fair enough. We'd probably still need to replace him. And also, what's it going to cost? Like, what's it going to cost to sign a player better than Zinchenko? And then everyone does the whole, but he's not good enough defensively. He's not as bad as everyone's always made out. And also, so what? How often do we need him to be like a master defensively? Like for maybe 10 fixtures a season? Maybe 15? But there's so many other games you can play to rest the likes of Lewis-Skelly, to move Lewis-Skelly in midfield so Rice gets a rest. Like, there's so much you can do still with Zinchenko in your squad, even if it is playing bit part minutes. So, look, I kind of like that there's interest, but I'm more looking at Martinelli. You know, was it Sammy Mockbell? No, it wasn't. It was Miguel Delaney. Miguel Delaney said that there's interest in Martinelli as well as others like Trossard, like Kiwior, like Zinchenko, and that Arsenal would be willing to let Martinelli go if the right offer came in. Great. Why are we hearing about this mid-August? This should have happened a little bit earlier in the window, so we had the funds or were ready to pounce on an Eze potential deal, which is dragging. We know that's Arsenal versus Tottenham for that player now. I now feel like if it's not one of the forwards going, like a Trossard or a Martinelli, to make room for a star left winger or an Eze, if it's not that kind of deal, I don't really see the need to deplete other areas of the squad. When you make your way through that back four, Timber and White are our right back, Saliba Mosquera at centre back, Gabriel Kiwior, Calafiori at left back, and then of course Calafiori can play, that's left centre back, and then Calafiori can play left back with Lewis-Skelly and Zinchenko. And I think, why not? 9 defenders for what's essentially 4 positions. You want 2 in each, so you really want 8 players. That one extra, I don't think it's a bad thing. Now, there were some quotes that did the rounds, I think, through The Athletic, where he talked about the fact that he feels like he's not needed anymore at Arsenal, how disappointing that can be, but he also talked about understanding he's in a privileged position with the money he's on and the role he has in the squad, and he understands that there's bigger things in life going on. And look, some people have been kind of critical of his quotes, but look, you don't get to that level of football. You don't get to the top of the game, which is the Premier League, which is playing for one of the biggest clubs in the Premier League, if you don't have a burning desire to get there. And that burning desire means you always want to be on the pitch. When you're not on the pitch, it doesn't matter how much money you're being paid, it is hard. It's a hard situation to accept. He also took accountability. He said, if I'm not on the pitch, it's because I'm not doing something well enough. It's because I'm not doing something to the level that's required, because the manager's not fancying me. Now, I'm paraphrasing there, but I don't mind that. I just still wonder whether Mikel could, at times, discard players. He's so difficult, Arteta, because at times I think he discards players really quickly. At times I think, wow, you've just decided they're not for you anymore. But sometimes he takes ages to move on from players, like Nketiah, like Smith Rowe. And you think, like Rob Holding, you think, why did it take so long to move past certain players? With Zinchenko, I feel like he's one that he evolved from a little bit too quickly. And actually, when you talk about an overlapping left back, Zinchenko's got a great left foot and a great cross. Can we use him in a slightly different way? So, again, to make my point really clear, Porto are in, right? Are they going to pay the kind of money? We know that they were looking at Kivior and they were willing to pay around 20 million. Apparently, we want 30. So there's some money there for Porto to spend. We've got a good relationship with him after Fabio Vieira, the back and forth there. I would, if 20 million came in, I say sure. If 15 came in and that was the difference between getting Eze or not, I'd say fine. But I don't really see the point, because it will cost 20 million to replace him. And who's coming in as a left back to be behind Gabriel at centre back, to be behind lewis-skelly and Calafiori at left back? Someone of like actual quality, I wouldn't bother. I'd just keep Zinchenko, if I'm really, really honest. With Kivior, it's different, because you can move Calafiori at centre back, and you've got good cover there. But I don't know. I don't really get it. But let's see what Arsenal do. I think he probably will leave, to be honest. Other news: Gabriel Jesus apparently posted on his Instagram that he had football boots on. That's good. It means he's obviously doing some training on the grass. We obviously know he did his ACL in January, so that must be 8 months on. I mean, we probably are 2 months. A month or two from seeing Gabriel Jesus kicking a ball and playing football again. Whatever we think of the player, he's a good player. And we've been talking about our options as, well, the front three and then the backups. But when you look at the forward line Arsenal could have next season, Saka, Madueke, Nwaneri, Dauman can all play right wing. Gyökeres, Havertz, Jesus can all play up front. Trossard, Martinelli can all play left wing. You could chuck Madueke out there too. If you get Eze, that's already a lot of options, but we're not talking about numbers, we're talking about quality. Get Eze too, and our options are looking really, really good. And Jesus will play a bit of football, and maybe he proves himself fit just enough to get that right move in January, because that's another set of wages that we need to get off the books as well. And maybe that's a reason to get Zinchenko gone, because you're talking about the wage situation. But look, he's not on 300 grand a week, he's maybe on 150. So I know it's a lot, but that's, in the world of Arsenal, that's pretty standard, I'd imagine. So, yeah. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Would you let Zinchenko go? What's the price you'd let him go for? Or do you think he's just worth keeping just for the sake of having another squad player and ensuring that we've got a lot of good cover in what is a pretty important area for Arsenal? Let me know your thoughts. Catch you in a sec. And if you haven't subscribed, we're now the Goonerverse News. Not the Goonerverse News. Goonerverse News. We removed the. This is why we're reacting to everything. Go on. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe, and I'll see you soon.